Hello and welcome to the Bajirao IAS Academy. Today is 28th October and we are going to discuss the Daily Hindu newspaper analysis. So basically we are starting with the discussion and today we have to discuss 4 articles. Okay, no, 5 articles. And basically these are very important articles for the examination point of view. And remember, my approach is not to teach you but to enable you that you can think in a better way. And actually, if you are able to think, if you are able to generate point by yourself, then definitely in the examination, in any examination, if any bouncer questions come, then definitely you will be able to answer it. And why UPSC is challenging? The first point you should understand that no direct question comes. Very rarely the direct questions in the examination will be appearing. So what it demands? It demands that you need to think, you need to generate points in the examination hall, specifically for the UPSC means and for the UPSC prelims. Actually, if you have conceptual clarity, then definitely you will be able to solve the question. That is very important point. So if you read any topic and if you are just like learning only, okay, if you are just enabling rote learning, that will not benefit for the prelims examination or the mains examination. Okay, so that is very important point. And here the editorial makes you to understand, to learn, to think, because you have a series of articles and you have a series of pointers that on the continuous basis gets inserted to your mind, and based on the data you start generating the points. It is similar like the artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, what it happens actually, the data which is enormous in number, okay, they are inserted into the machine and they start generating the points. So similar approach to the human as well. Okay, so basically what the data you are getting from outside to your mind, actually if you are starting to think, that means your data will start generating from your mind and that will be reflected in your notebook, that will be reflected in your answers. Okay, you can observe these patterns, you can observe the patterns of the mind, and you will be more clear to your preparation, you will be more clear to your life. That is a very important points. Okay, hope you may observe, try to observe all these things. This will give you confidence from the inner side. Okay, so basically we have to discuss all these articles, and if you are liking our initiative, please do like, share, subscribe, and also tell to your friend circle to join our channel. Okay, and don't forget to subscribe our telegram channel as well, because here we try to share the PDF of important articles. Okay, so today we have to discuss all these, and before that we have a warm-up session for the prelims question. And actually this question, it is related to the geography section. Okay, and here you have to solve this question, and here in the chat box you can comment the action. And remember that we are discussing on a participatory basis. You have to be like answering the questions. Okay, whatever questions we try to ask, please do answer. This will help you to increase your recalling power. So try to understand one more thing, that don't be a passive learner, become active learner. And how you can become active learner? By like applying the concept, the ideas in solving the MCQs. Okay, by interacting. And by interaction, one more thing will happen, like your peer groups may also suggest some of the ideas of the editorial of the questions, and you can learn from that. So learning is like a evolutionary approach. Okay, and you can learn slowly, and definitely you can achieve what you have dreamed for. Okay, so that is the point, and the question is related to the geography section. And pause the video, try to solve, and comment in the chat box. Okay, so the question is, in the context of India, which of the following is considered to be practices of eco-friendly agriculture? The statement 1 is crop diversification, the statement 2 is legume intensification, the statement 3 is tensiometer use, and the fourth statement is vertical farming. And here you have to select the correct option. Okay, and the answer and the elaborate discussion of this question will be dealt with in the last session. Okay, so you can wait for the last session, and for now you can answer this question, okay, in the chat box. So we are waiting for the answers. Please try to answer that. Okay, now we are shifting to the mains rapid fire, and here in the mains rapid fire you have the question from the mains previous year paper. Okay, and I have taken here the UPSC mains question of 2023 GS paper 1. Okay, and it is also related to the geography section, and the question is how fjords are formed, why do they constitute some of the most picturesque areas of the world. Okay, however, this type of questions is typical to the optional, okay, because these are like glacial features, and now UPSC is shifting towards these questions. That means UPSC is increasing its dimension of asking the question, so you have to increase your dimension as well. However, the concept about fjords are given in the GC Leong, but that is not sufficient to answer the question. Okay, so you have to dig deeper, and if you know the basics, if you have idea about this concept, then definitely you can answer. Okay, and the second part can be answered easily, even you do not know the direct answer, but if you know the term, then definitely the second part of this question can be answered. So here the question is divided into two parts, and you have to answer both. Only answering the first part, that means the number will be deducted. Okay, so try to give answer in the chat box. Okay, what do you mean by fjords and why they are basically most picturesque. Picturesque means like for the scenic beauty. Okay, like for the tourism it can be there, for biodiversity it can be there. Okay, and some of the fjords at the international level are recognized as universal like world heritage site. Okay, so that is the point, and I have suggested you some of the points, but you have to tell me the basic definition of fjords and actually how it is formed. Okay, remember the Pleistocene ice age. Please do consider this term in this answer. Okay, so now we are shifting to the article discussion, and the first article will be related to GS paper 2. Okay, so the basic context, before starting the basic context, we want to ask you a question. When we talk about India China relation, does the trend which is present now actually was similar to the past? No, it was not. Why? Because history suggests that we were two friendly nations. Okay, specifically when India got independence and when India built its own constitution, the relation between India China started increasing. Okay, the deepening of the relations. But due to the Chinese War of 1962, the relation dropped. Okay, and the relations was normalized after 1980s. Okay, and now again the relation is a little bit disturbed. Okay, that means on the initial time the relations was very good, but as the time passed and the recent incursions we are seeing from the Chinese side, actually they are leading to disturbance in the relation. Okay, and when we talk about the revamping of the relation, that means our prime minister also tried to reform the relations between India and China, but actually China is more assertive in nature, as we are seeing because of the recent incident. And what are the recent incident? The LAC issue, okay, the Arunachal Pradesh mapping issue, all these contexts. And one thing I want to ask you again, that why there is a disturbances in relations between our neighbors. The foremost ground is actually the border dispute. Okay, it is because of the border dispute that has remained unresolved, and because of that we have the tussle between our nations. Okay, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is China, okay, whether it is other nations. And if the border tussle gets solved, that means the relations have a higher height. And also there will be prosperity in the South Asia region. Why? Because in South Asia region, India, Pakistan, these all are like countries which is bigger in population, bigger in size, okay? And if the relation becomes good, that means the prosperity will prevail. But actually, does it will happen? No, because there is a like theory that the neighboring countries is basically looks other neighboring country as an enemy. Okay, so that is a theory, and that's why these tussles was going, is going, and may be going. Okay, and here China is also playing the assertive role here. Okay, so that is the point. But here this article talks about positive note. I have provided you the basic context about India China relation, but this article talks about the positive context. Okay, and what this article talks, that there is the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, we are seeing because of the Russia Ukraine war, and also there is beginning of the fresh crisis in the West Asia because of Israel Palestine conflict. Okay, so what we are seeing that at the global level there is rise in the security threats, okay, and in various dimensions, and because of that we are seeing the a deficit in terms of peace, deficit in terms of development, deficit in terms of security, deficit in terms of governance, and these all are growing. Okay, there is not a solution regarding the closing of these deficit. So who can close this deficit? Who can lead this world? Who can lead this fragmented world, better to say? Okay, so it is actually the article suggesting that India and China can lead this. Okay, why? Because this can be a good opportunity for India and China, that they can prevail peace at the global level, and they can like have a principle of shared prosperity among the peoples of the world for the mankind. And why this is possible? It is actually because of the ancient Asian civilizations of China and India, and they have the common goal based on the future and destiny of the mankind. And remember, we all want the prosperity of the humanity. There should be prevailing peace. Okay, there should be a justice in terms of social, political, economic. Okay, and this is highlighted in the vision of China and in the vision of India as well. How? Because Chinese vision says like we want a world of fairness and justice for the common good, and India's principle says Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. That means world is one family. Actually, this was also highlighted in our G20 meeting. Do you remember that? And where the G20 final meeting concluded, please try to tell me in the comment box, in the chat box, okay, so that I can judge you whether you have recalling power or not. Please try to participate. It is very, very high request from my side to you, okay? So that is the point. And what is another aspect is that we want peaceful international relation. Okay, our policy wants peaceful international relation, and that's why when we talk about in establishing peace between India and China, since independence we have initiated some of the measures to establish peace. First of all, the biggest achievement was Panchashil policy. And remember, this Panchashil policy was signed on April 28, 1954. And between whom? Between the Indian Prime Minister. And that time, our Indian Prime Minister was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And tell me here, who was basically the Chinese counterpart to sign this agreement? And what was this policy about? This policy talked about how can ensure peace, what the principles that we should follow so that the peace should prevail between India and China. And not only that, this Panchashil policy became a internationally recognized policy for India's foreign policy, so that if India dealing with any other nation, that means they should abide by this foreign policy of the Panchashil. Okay, and the Panchashil policy you can share you can see here basically they are based on five, because punch means five. Okay, and they talks about mutual respect, okay, for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The second point talks about mutual non-interference in each other's internal affair. Remember these all keywords, and this can be utilized for the mains answer writing. Okay, and the third point talks about equal and mutual benefit working relations, and the fourth point talks about the mutual non-aggression. Okay, and the fifth point talks about peaceful coexistence. So how sonorous these keywords look like, but do China follows it? Actually not. If you take the examples of the recent incident, that means we have initiated pencil policy, but in actual means they are violating that. Whether this article is talking about the positive relations, but actually like they are not like following what they are preaching in other sense. Okay, so that is the point. But like China and India also, both are at crucial stage of development. Okay, both are focusing on the growth, development, reducing inequality. Okay, promoting prosperity. Okay, so this all indicates the increased responsibility of India and China, and also the increased responsibility so that they can do the welfare for the mankind. Okay, and they can resolve this ongoing crisis at the global level. And what is the crisis? The trust deficit. Remember, the trust is the only pillar from which we can establish relations between the people, between the country, okay, between the society. If there is no trust, there will be no peace. This is the philosophy that is real, and you can observe in your daily life. If there is breach in the trust, that means the relation is going to be affected and will be affected forever. Okay, so that is the point, and that applies not only for the India level, but also for the people level, for the nation level. That is also one of the important point. Okay, and how can we ensure this responsibility? It is actually, as said by the China, like they are focusing on building global community of a shared future. Okay, and this philosophy advocates on focusing like a greater synergy to achieve lasting peace, developing conducive environment for the common security, along with building greater confidence in the common development. So they are talking about shared future. Okay, shared future based on the peace, development, prosperity, security, all of that. Okay, and India's principle is something like that. Okay, and the Chinese authority have released some of the important document that talks about the shared future, like that talks about correctifying the direction of the economic globalization. Now why they are saying this? Because you can observe that the present trend of the globalization is asymmetric in nature. Okay, like they are dominated by the developed nation, they are governed by the rule of the developed nation, all of that. So actually they are talking in this respect. And also there should be a need of open world economy, along with there should not be the scope or the space for unilateralism, protectionism, and decoupling. And here you have to tell me about protectionism. How protectionism affects the international trade, international prosperity. Okay, you have to tell me. And what WTO has initiated efforts in the recent time to prevent the growth of protectionism. If they are not able to do so, that means there is a failure of these international organizations. Okay, why they are created? So that they can promote trade, they can promote equality in terms of trade, they can also safeguard the interest of the developing nations, the least developed countries. Okay, so that the developed nation should not exploit them. So that are the roles of the WTO. But actually, do WTO are following that roles? There is a big question mark here. Okay, and for peaceful development there is a need to end the strategy of colonialism, hegemony, okay, and there is a need to have a practice of multilateralism and avoiding selective multilateralism, okay. So that is the point. And here selective multilateralism means what? Like within the multilateralism, you are like selecting some of the members, some of the countries, and you are promoting your personal interest, okay. So these are selective multilateralism, okay, and that is not a good approach. And when we talk about the world, the international relations, so these are based on certain principle, and which principle govern the world. So basically, we have the international organization like United Nations. We have the rule-based international order that is basically covered under the UN Charter principle. Okay, and this charter is very important. But the countries which are dominating in power, they do not follow. If they have followed it, then definitely peace have availed it. But because of unfollowing, because of their dominance, what is happening? We are seeing in the present world, there is trust deficit, there is crisis, there is loss to the civilians, okay. So that is the point. And here this article talks about China's contribution to build a global community of shared future, actually like the BRI initiative. However, this article talks in a positive way, but we know the a stake of BRI initiative, okay, and specifically why they are concerning for India, okay. So that is the point. Along with they are taking initiative like the Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative, and all of that. And actually, when we talk about Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, they are like infrastructure connectivity project that will connect the China with the Europe, okay, and it will be the rail road marg and also the sea route as well. So here the sea route from the Indian Ocean and the rail road pathway will be from the landmass, okay. So that is the point. And when we talk about the conclusion, so that means China and India are very natural partners, and they have the shared vision of ensuring the protection of the global community and having the growth and development of these people at the global level. And there is a need that they should work at the joint level on the issue of development, on the issue of security, on the issue of civilization for the welfare of global south. And here I am again asking you a question. What do you mean by global south? So these are the keywords. Maybe you are understanding, but to decode these keywords, it is very important that you can recall it. So I am not only providing you the discussion, but also I am trying you that you should focus on the discussion, and for that there is a necessity that I ask you a question, and there is a necessity from your side that you should give the answer of the question, okay. So that should be the discussion, which should be participatory nature. Hope you understood. Now we are shifting to the second article, and it is related to the GS paper 2. So again, this article is also from the GS paper 2, okay. So basically the article is about the recent death sentence given by the Qatari authority to our 8 ex-naval officers, okay. And we have discussed little bit context yesterday, but actually I will be trying to explore in more detailed way, okay. So here you have to understand one basic perspective, like how UPSC can frame the question. So here I have integrated some of the important context. Remember about the Kulbhushan Jadhav case, okay. The case actually deals with what, like espionage related case, and because of the espionage, the Pakistan court has ordered death sentence to the Kulbhushan Yadav. And who is Kulbhushan Yadav actually? So basically, he is also a former Navy officer, okay. But because of the alleged charges, they are facing the sentence. And what India had did in that case, actually they has approached the International Court of Justice, ICJ, and even the ICJ ruled in favor of India, but Pakistan is not abiding the order, and that's why this case is still pending. Okay, so that is the basic context, and why I am providing you, so that you can link with these cases as well. Okay, so this is not the first case that we are seeing like punishment to our officers given in a foreign country, but actually it has been occurred in Pakistan as well. So here from UPSC angle, what we will be discussing that if such type of case which comes in the news, so what is the legal remedies, what is the legal options available for India? Okay, so that by utilizing all these legal options, they can safeguard our officers. Okay, so that is the basic context. Hope you understood, and now you can definitely understand this article as well. So basically, let us understand the basics, how this incident happened, why this happened. Okay, so on August 30, 2022, the 8 former Indian Navy personnel arrested by Qatari authority, and on which charges? Basically on the charge of espionage. Okay, that means like jasusi. Okay, sharing the secret information to the third country, that means the espionage. But on October 1, like Indian ambassador to Qatar meets the 8 men in prison so that they can ask about the matter, they can have a detailed information. Okay, and you can see that on October 26, the Qatari court pronounces the death sentence to all of them. But here, the point of question raised is like even the judgment was delivered, but the judgment copy is not available to the government. Also, what are the evidence that was able to frame the charges to these officers is also not clear. So the delivery of the judgment is like in a secrecy. Okay, and this is not a good thing. If such a incident is happened, and if there is unclarity over the informations, like what is the case about, what is the evidence you have collected, so that you have framed the charges, we have framed the death penalty, there should be a proper transparency here. But Qatari authorities are still not giving the like required information. Okay, but the Indian government is trying its best to have informations, and also they are like finding the legal solutions available to safeguard this personnel. And this will be a very important time for India to judge their foreign policy in the West Asia, to judge the relations between India and Qatar. Because when we talk about the relation between India and Qatar, the relation are good, specifically when we compare to the Pakistan. Okay, so actually, when we talk about India Qatar relation, so there is a good relations. Like India source about 40% of its liquefied natural gas that are needed. Okay, and also India is like Qatar's third biggest source of imports. Okay, that means Qatar's dependency on India for the raw material and for the food items is also very much high. And the third and important thing, like India's diaspora presence in Qatar, about 7 lakh Indian diaspora, they are living there. Okay, and they are contributing to the economy, to the industry, to the workforce. So this is very important thing, and the Qatar authority must consider them. Okay, and when we talk about the legal remedy which is available for India, so for the means, this is very, very important. Try to remember and try to explore all these legal options. Okay, first of all, either India can pursue legal appeals in the case. Okay, like in India, if the lower court announce any judgment, then we can appeal in the higher court. Similar in Qatar, there is a pattern. Okay, and the second option, like resolving the case diplomatically, where the important ministers or the foreign minister will meet, discuss the issue, and try to solve the concern. Okay, and the third, and it is very, very important, that the head of the state or the head of the government can personally meet to the head of the government or the head of the state to the other nation, okay, and they can discuss about resolving this issue. They can request a pardon, okay. And again, if all of these options doesn't work, then there can be a built up of international campaign to appeal for clemency. Clemency means forgiveness, okay. And for this, India have a like positive benefit of soft power in terms of higher number of Indian diaspora living in the West Asia or in the like Western countries like America, Europe, okay. So from there, the international pressure can come, and maybe the decision of the Qatari authority can change. So these all are the perspectives actually we are discussing with a different angle. But for the UPSC means, try to remember what are the India's options available now. And why I am discussing this, because we have linked this case with the Kulbhushan Yadav as well, okay. So that is the point. Hope you understood. And just like our channel if you are enjoying our lecture series, okay. And also try to give your response in the comment box, in the chat box. How are you feeling? Is you are able to understand the basic concepts or not, okay. So that is a very important point, and that is our initiative, that any of the global issue if arising, I can teach you in a manner that you can understand, not only understand, but you can think on that topic as well. And thinking is very important development for your mind, okay. That will help you in progressing towards a analytical person that is required for our country, for our nation, and that is required in you as well, okay. So now we are shifting to the next article, and it is also related to the controversy based news, okay. However, we are not moving toward the controversy discussion because these are the work of the news media. But here, from the UPSC angle, we are discussing that how UPSC can frame question on this topic, on this controversy, because anything which are in news that are relevant for the UPSC, that means there is a high probability that they can ask the question in the UPSC prelims or the mains. So the question can be asked on the topic of ethics committee, okay, or the parliamentary privileges, or for the means it can ask about the functions of the ethics committee, okay, and their weaknesses. So from that angle we are discussing that, and you may be basically well aware of the issue, that what is the issue of cash for query allegations. So basically this is an incident that was occurred recently, where the leader, basically the name is Mahua Moitra, okay, and she is member of parliament basically, and there is an allegation that they had taken money, and this money was utilized to ask the question, okay, in the Lok Sabha, okay, based on the questions set by the donor of the money, okay, a businessman. So the BJP MP raised this issue in the Lok Sabha, and that's why the case was transferred to the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee by the Speaker. So that is the basic context, and here the context is not important. You even should not write any name of the MP or the MLA, okay, in the UPSC mains paper. That will be a bad decision for you. To try to remember these all small terms, this will be very important for you, okay. So that is the point. And the charges is like accepting bribes to ask the question in the parliament. Even the Lok Sabha account was shared with that person. These all are the allegations, but we are not going into the deep of this issue. We are discussing with respect to the committee, okay. So basically ethics committee, as the name suggests, what this committee will do, this committee will try to analyze if there is allegations like misbehavior or like unethical conduct done by a member of the Lok Sabha, okay. So that is the point. And when we talk about the origin of this ethics committee, so remember that it is not like since independence it was existing, since the starting of the constitution it was existing. It is not like that. Actually, in 1996, the presiding officers conference, which was organized, they suggested ethics panel for both the house, okay, for the Lok Sabha, for the Rajya Sabha. And in 1997, actually, ethics committee was constituted in Rajya Sabha. And when we talk about 13th Lok Sabha, Committee of Privileges also recommend that Lok Sabha Ethics Committee should be established. And you can see, like in 2000, ad hoc ethics committee was established. When we talk about ad hoc, that means they are temporary in nature, they are created as per the situation, they are not permanent in nature. But in 2015, the ethics committee was granted the permanent status. Okay, that means this committee are having the permanent stand, okay, the members, okay. So that is the point. And tell me the difference between the permanent committee and ad hoc committee. Give me some of the names of the permanent committee. And even UPSC did had asked in the recent times, whether it is in the UPSC mains or the prelims, about the parliamentary committee. These all are the parliamentary committee, okay. So when we talk about members, so members are 15, and who appoints these members? Basically, the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha. Who is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha? Actually, the speaker. Okay, the speaker appoint the member of the committee, but for what term? For 1 year. Okay. So that is very important point for the prelims. And what are the functions? As we have discussed, to formulate a code of conduct for the members, to suggest amendments or addition to the code of conduct from time to time. But here, I am putting you a question. Based on these functions and based on these analysis that we have discussed, what is the limitations of the ethics committee? Maybe you have read in the M. Lakshmikant about the parliamentary committee, okay? So you can suggest me the limitations. I am asking you simply to make you to think, okay? Don't be surrendered on the side of passive learning. Become an active learner that will expand your mind in an unlimited way, okay. And here you have to answer a question also. What is the difference between ethics committee and the privilege committee? Okay, do you remember about the privilege committee? What is privilege committee? What is the functions? Try to elaborate more and more, okay. That will make the discussion more interesting, more participatory. And please don't please don't forget actually to comment in the chat box, okay. So now we are shifting to the short news, and short news but very disturbing news. Why disturbing news? Because in India we have various challenge related to the poverty, challenge related to the hunger, challenge related to the employment, okay, challenge related to the border security. These are many tensions that are going on. But apart from that, when we talk about another challenge, which is putting burden on our the population, that is the health related challenge, okay. We have the highest number of malaria case, highest number of dengue case, highest number of the other disease like pneumonia, all of these. And again, we have the highest number of cancer case. So India is actually an example of disease burden. All these type of disease and the major cases are prevalent in India, okay. So that affects our demographic dividend, that affect the productivity efficiency of the people, that will ultimately degrading the human capital. And because of that, what do you think? India need a efficient person, a productive person, or a disease burdened person? Actually a efficient person. And for the efficient person, what is needed first? The health. If health is not good, the wealth is not perfect, okay. And when we talk about wealth, the wealth does not mean only that money, that means the mental status, okay, the emotional status. So these all are the points. So when we talk about cancer cases, so actually it is also a bit surprising that Mizoram, which is having the second least population in overall states, they have the highest number of the cancer incidents, okay. And this has been funded by the study actually. So you can see that Mizoram exhibits the highest cancer incident rate in India, And this is based on the analysis from an 18-year trend study that lies between the period of 2003 to 2020. Okay, and they analyze that in Mizoram the major case of cancer which is prevalent among the men is actually the stomach cancer. And when we talk about in the female, so actually the lung cancer which is much more prevalent. Okay, so you may ask that why Mizoram? So actually the study reveals that because of the static lifestyle and the dietary patterns. Okay, and here I request you go to the Google or the Chat GPT, try to try to know about the dietary patterns of the tribal community that lives in Mizoram. Okay, so that is the point. And also there are further reasons like lack of a specialized diagnostic facility and skilled human resources there, along with the treatment strategies is also lacking. Okay, and along with the transportation challenges, remember the map of the northeast. Here we have only this corridor that we call a chicken corridor that actually connects our northeast with mainland India. And when we talk about mainland India, there is a development, there is a growth, there is a better human conditions, but when it comes to the northeastern they are facing the developmental backwardness. Okay, and we are seeing in Manipur these incidents also lead to the developmental backwardness. Okay, so that is the important point, hope you understood. But here we will be trying to understand about the cancer basics. So okay, so when we talk about cancer, first of all, it is not a communicable disease, it is like non-communicable disease, and can have its origin because of the abnormal growth of cells. Okay, and these cells basically are not good for our body but very very bad, and when they grows they affect the tissue or the organ. Okay, and how does it spread? Suppose this is an organ and the cells is growing. Okay, the cancer cells are growing, so this will expand and they can also try to grow in other organs. Okay, like a spreading out effect. Okay, so that is the point, and because of that they will damage other organs as well. So the spreading out effect is known as metastasizing. Try to remember this keyword because UPSC can ask like sometimes metastasizing seems in news is related to what? It is related to the cancer growth. Okay, when there is a spread of cancer cells to the other organs. Okay, and cancers are also known as neoplasm or the malignant tumor. Okay, and there are various types of cancer. Basically brain cancer can be there, lung cancer can be there, breast cancer can be there. There are various type of cancer based on the organ which are being affected. Okay, so that is also very important. And when we talk about the burden of cancer in India, it is also not a good story for India. Why? Because from about 18 million case at the global level, India has about 15 lakh cases alone. So this also increases our burden. And remember, when we talk about the healthcare expenditure in India, it is actually less than 2%. So how we can able to deal with these? Actually, we have already many burden of the disease, like we have discussed chikungunya, dengue, and other type of like communicable and non-communicable disease, including heart attack and all these lots of. Okay, so that is the point. And this is the data from the WHO. Why I have included it? It is actually because whenever any question arises, you can quote it. Okay, in your main sensor writing. And as per the World Health Organization, it is second leading cause of death. Okay, so that is the basic. And now we are entering into another interesting fact. Okay, but before discussing this article, actually I want to ask you a question again. Maybe you have seen a helicopter or an aeroplane which is landing. Okay, if you haven't seen it live, then no problem, I have also didn't seen, so no problem, you and me are same. And but there is a surety that you can definitely seen in the movie. So what happens, like when an aeroplane is landing or the helicopter is landing, actually there is wind starts spiraling, okay, and because of the wind, the lots of dust starts spreading out here and there, okay. So basically because of that, the region which was a little bit stabilized but get disturbed. And why get disturbed? Because of the wind which was generated from these planes, okay. So that situation is known as reflectance anomaly. And why I am discussing this term, because when Chandrayaan 3's lander was started soft landing on the surface of the moon, actually the thruster which was used for the soft landing, actually they started to create dust around these landers in the atmosphere, okay. And about 2 tons of lunar dust which was spreaded around the region of the lander. And 2 tons means what? 200 kg, okay. That is a very big amount, okay. And about like 108.4 meter square area it was spreaded. So that is the reflectance anomaly. And in simple terms, like the area which was in normal but became abnormal, okay, because of the spirit of the dust. And there is a very important applications of this principle of the reflectance anomaly. How? Because via this we can understand also like which type of metals are present here, okay, and whether the soil have different contents or not, whether they are drought related region or not. So there is a many applications of this, but we have tried to talk you in the basic way. And it is also known as ejecta halo, okay. So it is only for the prelims. If any question comes like sometimes reflectance anomaly seen in news, so you have to mark like area of disturbances which gets created because of the regions disturbances, okay, whether it can be due to the aeroplane, it can be due to the landing a spacecraft, okay, landing a helicopter. So that is the point. And anomaly means like divergence, okay. And reflectance means what? Like the dust are getting reflected over the atmosphere, okay. That is the point. So hope you understood. Now we are coming to the prelim section, and actually the answer is all of the above, okay. So basically when we talk about eco-friendly agriculture means what? You are definitely doing agriculture but with respect to the protecting of the environment. And how environment will be protected? If the soil is protected, okay, if the atmosphere is protected. And how you can do that? One is your crop diversification. If you do the crop diversification, it means that you are planting crops of different nature. Maybe for the first time you are planting the leguminous crop, maybe for the next time you are planting the sugar cane, maybe the next you are planting the vegetables. So what will happen, that this will retain the capability of the soil, the nutritional capability of the soil, and also it will help to regain their fertility, okay. So that is the crop diversification, okay. And when we talk about legume identification, that means the pulse which are leguminous crops, okay, and they have a nitrifying bacteria. So basically via this bacteria the nitrogen of the atmosphere gets utilized, and actually they help in the growth of the plants, and also they protect the soil fertility, okay. So that is also a good thing. So that 1 and 2 is also correct. And when we talk about vertical farming, so vertical farming like doing farming in the vertically stacked layer. And now we are seeing the trend of vertical farming, because now in the coming time there will be a less land area available because of the increased population and increased demand of the houses and all of that stuff, okay. So what can be the innovation here? Because we need innovation, because the population is rising, food crisis can be there. To resolve the food crisis there is a need to have innovation, creativity. So creativity can be done in terms of the vertical farming as well. And here you can see the example of vertical farming, okay. These all are the vertical farming, and plants are raised vertically, and few soil or soilless Agriculture is also there in terms of aquaponics, okay, hydroponics, airponics, okay. So these all are the things. Hope you understood. And when we talk about tensiometer, so basically tensiometer are a tool or a device that are used to measure the moisture content in the soil, and based on analyzing the moisture content, we can have a control irrigation. Suppose the moisture content is basically decreasing, then we can do the irrigation. But if there is a good moisture content and we can measure it by a tensiometer, then there is a no need to have an irrigation at that time. If there is a need, then we will do the irrigation. Okay, that is the end of the article. Hope you understood, and thank you friends, thank you very much for your participation. Do write the answer in the chat box. Okay, thank you. We will meet again for the next discussion.